Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Andy. I'm a self-taught software developer, and in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how to smash through imposter syndrome, right? You know, that anxiety and all those negative feelings and resistance that you feel when you are looking to get your first software development job. You tend to feel like you're an imposter, that everyone around you knows what they're doing and you're the only one who has no idea what you're doing, and that you're a fraud, you're a fake, and it's like, why even try? So as you guys know, I'm not one of those people who's like just gonna give you that one little weird trick, like pinch your ear and hold your breath and think good thoughts and somehow like imposter syndrome is gonna go away. So I'll break down what exactly imposter syndrome is, where I see most people really get fucked up by imposter syndrome, and then we'll talk about a real strategy for overcoming it, and hopefully it will help you in the future and not wasting all of your time. So first things first, let's talk about imposter syndrome. So I work with a lot of people right now. I talk to a lot of people through my YouTube channel, Facebook, and my mentorship program. And I see so many people who waste so much time once they get to the point where they're ready, where they've met those threshold of skills, right? So typically what I'm talking about is once somebody has spent enough time and they've created a portfolio of applications, right? They've created a portfolio of applications that showcase the skills that they will need for their first job. So once they've completed that, then the next step is to go and get a job, right? And you'd think that would be the obvious next step, but what I see a lot of people who don't even know, or sometimes they do know, that they are a little bit scared. They're a little bit scared that they're still an imposter, right? They feel like they're a fraud. And so what they do is, instead of going out in the job market after 6 months or a year after they've met their threshold, what they do is they start, backwards rationalizing reasons not to do it because they're actually a little bit scared. So you'll see them spend, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, 6 months shoring up their skills. That's the key word you'll hear. Oh, I've got to shore up this skill. I've got to, I got to shore up my Angular skills. I got to shore up my, whatever coding paradigm or, JavaScript framework or library or new programming language. They got to shore it up because look, when you are a little bit scared, you're nervous, you don't feel ready, right? Because no one feels ready. Everyone feels like an imposter when they're beginning. But when you don't feel ready, what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep putting it off and putting it off. It's kind of like when you have, like when you have to do something important in your house and you see a load of laundry over there and you're like, you know what, that load of laundry is really important. I gotta make sure I clean that up instead of doing the hard work of, let's say, coding or whatever thing that has the highest priority in your life right now. So if you think about it, people who could be potentially ready within 6 months to a year may spend another 6 months to a year, again, shoring up their skills, wasting time, wasting potential money, wasting just advancement in their career because they are just actually really scared and putting off the hard work of going out and getting a job. So look, imposter syndrome is real. It is hard to overcome. There's no simple trick. A lot of the times that anybody who is waiting to feel like they're ready, anyone who's sitting there thinking that themselves one day they're gonna wake up, look out of bed and look around like, you know what, today's the day. It's not gonna happen. Sorry to say, you'll never quite feel ready. So here is my suggestion to you. How to solve imposter syndrome once and for all. So what you wanna think of it as this, okay? So again, key thing here is you need to have a specific plan for when you are going to start applying for jobs. So as I just mentioned, your target should be to complete a portfolio of applications. I can't tell you how many, I say anywhere from 2 to 6. That's just my general rule of thumb. It's not it's not a 100% you have to do that, but anywhere from 2 to 6 applications. The key is it should showcase the range of skills for the job positions that you're out there looking for, right? So if you're looking for a front-end position, you're gonna wanna have JavaScript, HTML, CSS, a front-end framework of some sort, maybe less and Sass, pre-processing for CSS. Look, you should have a pretty good sense of what that is. Anyway, so once you have that portfolio of applications that meets that threshold, then you know that there's really not much else you can do from a skill perspective. Sure, you can continue learning those skills and reinforcing them, and I highly recommend you do. That's not a bad way to look at it. You should definitely reinforce your JavaScript skills and your whatever front-end framework you're working on. But here's the key. Once you meet that threshold, it's really probably the best time to actually go out there and start applying for jobs, start the job interview process, because I know for many of you guys, you think like, well, wait, I'm not ready. I don't have all of this breadth of skill to show off. And the truth is that at that point, you can get your first job. It doesn't mean you're a developer. It just means that you can potentially get your first job. There are people who have been hired with a lot less skills than you have at that point, when they've been creative in the job hunting process and when they've been prepared, right? So once you met the threshold, then you're gonna go out and get a job. But here's the key. Now, if you just go out there and you start applying for jobs, you're gonna be nervous as hell. You're gonna show up to your first couple interviews just like, with that imposter syndrome. You're gonna show up feeling like really nervous. You're gonna show up and just be like, do I really belong here? And that's gonna really not ruin, but it's going to lower the chances of you getting hired, because look, to be honest with you, people want to hire junior developers who have confidence, who they don't feel like they're going to be holding their hand all the way through the process. Or even worse, they don't want to hire a junior developer who they're going to have to prod to move forward. They want somebody who's going to come in, ask questions, be interactive with the team and the group, and grow with the team. So that's the type of person they're looking for at a job interview. So you just want to make sure that that's everything you're displaying. So now to my point here, right? So how is it that we get ourselves prepared and confident for the first job interview, or that first, the first couple job interviews that you get your job? Here's the way I look at it, right? So once we've completed the threshold, again, we've completed all of our portfolio applications, what we're going to want to do is you want to treat the job hunting process like preparing for a boxing match, okay? So the way, it's pretty simple. It's like this. When boxers prepare for their matches, usually it's like, a couple months out, 4 or 6 months out, they know that they have a fight. In that time period, in that 4 to 6 month time period, all they do is focus on the fight, okay? They focus on training, getting their body ready. They focus on their mind, making sure their mind is ready. They pretty much spend 7 days a week, preparing and resting and getting their bodies and minds ready for this one sole purpose, which is to beat up somebody else, right? Or to survive the fight with someone else. When they go through that long process, which is fucking hard, right? Like, that's a very difficult process. I've never done it, and I can only imagine how difficult it is. Mentally, you have to be very mentally tough to do it. But once you've gone through that process, then you are actually at the fight. And when boxers get to the fight, you can tell that, like, look, they put months of preparation into this. There is no doubt in their mind that, like, look, there's nothing else they can do. There's no stone they left unturned. They only have one focus when they go to the fight, which is to, follow the game plan and just beat the other person up, like whatever it is, to win. So they keep their focuses very narrow. They're not sitting there showing up to the fight going like, am I really a boxer? Did I train hard enough? It's like, no, they know that they've trained hard enough. So let's take this to you, how that's going to work for you. So when you've met the threshold, what you want to do is you want to take, that first couple weeks, maybe even couple months. I would say anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months, and just pick a date when you're going to start actually applying for jobs and going for your first interview. And in that interim, in that 2 weeks to 2 months, what you want to do is just prepare like a mofo. Like, you just want to do everything you can do to prepare for the job interview process, because the job interview process is, in the technical world, it can be very specific, right? Like, first of all, you just want to have good interview skills. So, if you're social, if you are able to show off your personality, then you may not have to work on this. But for some of you guys who are a little shy, who are a little more reserved, or who have trouble talking about yourselves, you need to practice the interview. And you need to practice the interview in situations where you feel uncomfortable, because that will best simulate what a real job interview is like. So if you can do it with friends, if you can do it with mentors and they can really grill you on things, if you can do it with people you don't know, if you can join my free Facebook group, and you can go in there and you can shoot a video of yourself answering interview questions. Whatever it is that makes you nervous, you need to simulate that same situation and practice the interview. Then there's there's technical questions that you have to answer, and potential whiteboarding challenges you have to do. So I really put those and lump those together, but you have to practice answering technical questions. So if you're going for that front end role, you have to make sure you have a broad spectrum of questions that you can answer with confidence, and you should be able to talk about any of those questions based on your portfolio. And you need to practice that, again, in the same way that you would when you actually go to a job interview. So you have to have that pressure on. So if you can do it, again, with a mentor, with a friend, with somebody you don't know, with a stranger inside of my Facebook group, you have to be able to do that. And same with the programming challenges or whiteboarding interview aspect of it. Because look, The whiteboarding interview is tougher than you think. If you've never done it, it's tough to, and even I find it difficult now when the times I just do it for fun. It's just difficult to talk out loud in front of somebody who you don't know. Just like everyone else, guess what? I'm insecure about my, coding skills sometimes too, and I don't want to sound dumb when I'm talking out loud, but what you realize is when you've done it a few times, when you've done the whiteboarding challenge in front of somebody you don't know, if you do it for a few times, guess what? You get more comfortable with it. You realize that, look, really what they're looking for most of the time is for you to speak out loud and speak out how you're solving the problem. And of course, do they want you to solve the problem? Absolutely. And that's, you have to practice the coding or coding challenge / whiteboarding challenges. You can use HackerRank and LeetCode for that, but don't forget the crucial aspect here is you have to do it under pressure. So again, if you can use a screen sharing program to actually film yourself doing some sort of whiteboarding challenge, if you can do it in like my Facebook group, if you can find a coding mentor and do it in front of them and really get some feedback about how you went about solving the problem, or if you didn't solve the problem, really figure out like what you did wrong. So basically you want to spend those 2 weeks to 2 months preparing like it's a boxing match, because you want to spend all of your time and resources towards that one aim. So that way when you show up for your first interview, if you've really prepared, if you've really spent the time and like cut out most of your leisure time that you have, because more than likely you have enough leisure time in your life, okay? You can spend 2 weeks to 2 months to change your entire career in your life to get your first job, okay? So just put, just do it, right? Like just really spend the time, make it your boxing match, as they say. But if you do that, if you prepare, like I'm not saying you're not gonna be nervous. Of course you're gonna be nervous, but you won't have all this anxiety that like you're wondering like, do I belong in here? Am I prepared? Because look, you've done everything you could up until this point. If you go there and you completely bomb based on all this preparation, then like, look, it's not that big of a deal. Like you just take that as feedback and change your approach. But at least you're not sitting there wondering like, could I have done more? Now let me kind of explain to you why I think this works so well. So, there's this idea in different cultures of the rite of passage, and we don't really do that so much here in the US or the West. There's not real rites of passages anymore for our youth, for people growing up, and I feel like I've never really had that growing up. Maybe sports was it for me, but the whole idea of a rite of passage is in many cultures it's supposed to take young men and women from their adolescence all the way to being an adult by putting them through a really challenging situation. Again, typically, sometimes it's just ritualistic, but the point is it's supposed to be something that's very challenging, and that when you come out at the end, you're supposed to feel like a man or you're supposed to feel like a woman. And it's all psychological. It doesn't really make you a man or woman, who actually knows, but it's like that psychological, it gives you that psychological confidence, right? One of my favorite movies, it's the cheesiest movie ever, right? It's 300. About the 300 Spartans who held back the Persian invasion of Greece, right? And there's one scene in the movie where the king Leonidas, when he's young, he has to go through their process, through their rite of passage to become a man. And they basically send him out in the wilderness and they don't give him anything. And he's got to survive and come back. And if he comes back, he's able to be king and he's a man and all that sort of stuff. So when he's out there, he basically kills this giant wolf, wears it as a jacket, and he goes on and he's the king. And I'm relating that back to what we're talking about here. I know it sounds kind of odd, but really by going through this process of really focusing on 1 or 2 months where you're training hard for the job interview, by the end of that, if you've done it right, if you've really committed time and effort to it, if you've done everything you can, if you spend as much time as you could, you will feel entitled to feel like you're prepared. Whether you're prepared or not doesn't really matter. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, right? Like again, sometimes you can get the job based on your performance at the interview. They just really like you, they like your enthusiasm. And then look, sometimes you'll bomb the interview. They think you're great and they think you perform really well, but they just didn't meet the technical skill aspect of it. But either way, again, you're getting feedback and you can always change your approach. But it's way better than doing this. Here's the alternative that I see people doing. They finish their portfolio of applications and they just go out there and they just start applying to jobs. They don't prepare that well. They just do minimum preparation possible. And so they're setting themselves up to lose. And on top of that too, they're going to have that feeling in their minds of like, I'm not really prepared. I'm an imposter. I'm not really gonna be able to do this. Somebody's gonna call me out. And that's not what you want. So that's really it, guys. I hope you guys really liked the video. Leave a like as always. Subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want notifications anytime I put out new content. My channel is 100% about making awesome self-taught developers. I want people to watch my channel to get the leg up and really make their career a path to mastery, be the type of developer who's like a rock star, can just do damn near anything, really. Other than that, I highly recommend joining my Facebook group. If you want to do that, go to andysterkowitz.com/group. In there, it's all high quality. No negativity, I don't allow that. That's only high quality content, no spamming. I will post live events from time to time, and I try to post anything that I think will be helpful for people out there. Stuff that I basically won't post on my YouTube channel. So go ahead and join that now. I highly recommend it. You can get a lot of value out of that. And yeah, that's really it. That's all I've got. Got to go now. So you guys have a great rest of your day. And as always, peace out. Take care.